hear Craig Stammen. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. As today, the Padres take on the Los Angeles Angels in the second game of a three-game series. Our starting pitching matchup tonight for the Angels, left-hander Yusei Kikuchi, and for the Padres, right-hander German Marquez. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you from inside Angels Stadium here in Anaheim. First pitch coming up at 6:38 p.m. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we have a lot to do. You'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. I go one-on-one with former Padres All-Star reliever Kirby Yates, and we check in with Padres radio voice Jesse Agler in just a few minutes. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Well, the Padres entered today 13-7. They entered yesterday winners of 8 consecutive games and 11 of their last 12 games. Padres trying to now win a 5th consecutive series. Padres in the midst of a long road trip. 2 more games here in Anaheim, 3 in Colorado this week, or I should say next week, and then 2 games against the D-backs in Mexico City next weekend. Meanwhile, the Angels come in 11-10 to begin the season. It's a fairly impressive start, considering they've had a tough early season schedule. The team's first 8 series of the season feature 6 teams that made the postseason last year. Angels will play the Blue Jays next. Angels have won 4 of their past 6 games. They are scoring a lot of runs lately. We'll have more on that coming up a little bit later. Today, right-hander German Marquez makes his 4th start of the season. He has a 5.54 ERA through 3 starts with the Padres so far here in 2026. Well, the Padres came to the Big A last night riding an 8-game win streak. Let's rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
We had a scoreless game in the second inning last night. Yoan Moncada led off against Matt Waldron.
Here's the 2-1. Moncada swings, hits it in the air, high and deep to right center field. Tatis and Merrill are back. Jackson's at the wall. This one gonna go. Home run, Yoan Moncada, his 3rd of the year. A lead shot here in the bottom of the second inning. And with the fireworks coming out of the rock pile here at Angel Stadium, the Halos take a 1-0 lead.
Waldron would get the next 2 outs, but then he hit a batter. Adam Frazier was next.
Waldron ready to pitch, and Frazier rips it on a line towards the right field corner. That's going to get down, and a base hit. 2 hops against the base of the wall. Oh, Hoppy's at third base. He's being waved home. Cronenworth's relay to the plate is not in time, and into third goes Frazier. Angels have taken a 2-0 lead.
Angels weren't done. Next up was the leadoff man, Zach Neto. He hit an RBI single. 3 runs on 3 hits for the Halos in the second. Padres then had a really good scoring chance against Angels starter Jose Soriano in the third. They loaded the bases with 2 men away, but Jackson Merrill rounded out to end the inning. It was still 3-0 going bottom 4. Angels put 2 on with 2 out against Waldron. Nolan Shaunawell hit a 2-out single. That made it 4-0. Craig Stammen took Waldron out. He went to David Morgan to face Joe Adell with 2 on base.
And Adell swings, lines it over Bogarts into left center. That's down, and a base hit. Trout will score easily as it finds the alleyway, gets all the way to the base of the wall. Shaunawell going to score from first. It's a 2-run double for Joe Adell, and now 6-0 here in the 4th.
The book was closed on Waldron. He went 3 2/3 innings, allowed 6 runs on 8 hits. Morgan returning for the bottom of the 5th inning. He hit the leadoff man, then gave up a 2-run home run to Josh Lowe. It was 8-0. Meanwhile, Jose Soriano kept dealing for the Halos. He would go 5 2/3 scoreless innings and pick up the win, and that really was about the story last night. Angels went on to win it 8-0. Padres shut out for the very first time this season. They collected just 3 hits, and now we'll see if the Padres can bounce back here today in the middle game of this 3-game series. As we get ready for this one, let's go inside the Padres radio booth and check in with Jesse Agler.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, Jesse, let's revisit last night first and foremost. I thought you and Tony wrapped it up well yesterday. One of those games where you could read the starting pitching lines and it sort of tells you the whole story of the ball game. Last night kind of felt like you never say a team is necessarily due to have a bad game, but Padres had been playing so well. Kind of felt like last night was the first time in a while the Padres had a lot of things not go right.
Yeah, I mean, look, sometimes a winning streak comes to an end in a squeaker. Sometimes it comes to an end with a thud. And last night it came to an end with a thud. And, yeah, I mean, you're right. Look, with Soriano on the mound, you knew it was going to be kind of a tough, a tough field to plow. And with Waldron struggling in his first outing of the year, it was kind of a perfect storm situation, and that one got away. You never know, right? I mean, the Padre at-bats were actually, I think, pretty good against Soriano when all was said and done. Knocked him out of the game in the sixth inning. For goodness sake, yesterday, Luis Campusano became only the second guy all year long to reach base twice against Jose Soriano. That's the kind of thing that would very much impress Wayne Randazzo, the TV voice of the Angels. He would be blown away to know that Luis Campusano reached base twice against Jose Soriano yesterday. So, I mean, they did what they could do. Had it been a closer game, had the Padres starting pitching been a little bit better yesterday, maybe the whole thing ends up going a little bit differently. But look, you're not going to win 25 in a row. That's not how baseball works. And so tonight they try and begin another winning streak.
And we'll see if the Padres can get the offense going here tonight. Pitching matchup, left-hander Yusei Kikuchi on the mound for the Angels. German Marquez on the mound for the Padres. The numbers, career numbers, Jesse, would suggest that the Padres should be able to hopefully do a nice job against Kikuchi here tonight. They've got some big guys that have swung the bat pretty well against Kikuchi in their careers.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, we saw him last year. We saw him the year before, so not an unfamiliar guy. And, also somebody who is not, one of these elite arms that we've seen a lot of. I kind of did a deep dive this morning because that's what I do on a Saturday morning, and just kind of took a look at all of the big name, big stuff guys that the Padres have seen this year. And it's a pretty legit list. You go back to opening day, literally, right, with Skubal and all the way through Soriano last night and in between. Padres have seen some real deal arms. And I'm not, saying Yusei Kikuchi isn't a very good major leaguer, because he is. He's an all-star last year for the second time in his career. But, it's nice to see a guy that's just sort of a normal, good big leaguer as opposed to an elite arm. Not that he can't go out there and throw 7 shutout innings. He's certainly capable of that. But he's a guy who struggled a little bit this year, and hopefully somebody they can get to. And as you said, some of these guys have had success against him. Manny's taken him out twice, 400 career hitter against him. Fernando homered against him last season. Yeah. So we'll see what they're able to put together against him here tonight.
Jesse, German Marquez on the other side of this pitching matchup for the Padres tonight. And for as well as things had been going for the Padres, it kind of felt like last night with Matt Waldron, maybe it was a little bit of a good reminder with some of the injuries the Padres are dealing with in their rotation. They're going to need guys like Waldron and German Marquez, certainly in that conversation as well. They're going to need these guys to step up and perform well. And now we'll see if German Marquez can bounce back after a little bit of an up and down outing his last time out.
Yeah, and look, part of those guys having success, the guys kind of at the back end of your rotation, I will always contend is the offense picking them up and making life easier on them. Yeah. Right? The more runs you're able to score early, the easier it is for a guy like German Marquez. The easier it is for Matt Waldron. Now, last night against Soriano, that was going to be tough to do. We all sort of recognize that. But if the offense can get it going early against Kikuchi, maybe you get a couple of runs in the first inning and give Marquez an early cushion. That allows him to kind of take a breath and maybe take the hill with a little bit more confidence and just that little bit of ease thanks to that cushion. So I will look at the offense to try and make Marquez's life a little bit easier here tonight. But, yeah, you're right. It's always a little bit perilous at the back end of the rotation. You never quite know what you're going to get. We've seen some very, very encouraging things from Walker Buehler. Marquez obviously working on some stuff with Ruben Niebla, Ben Fritz, and his pitching staff. We've seen some up, we've seen some down, and we'll see how it goes here tonight.
Yeah, should be an interesting one here tonight. And, hey, Jose Soriano is really good, but it's hard to battle back against the guy like Soriano when you're down 3 runs after a few innings and 6 runs after a handful of innings. So hopefully Padres can play ahead here tonight with German Marquez on the hill. Jesse, as always, good to hear from you. Good to see you as well here in Anaheim. We rarely get to see each other during these segments. So good to hear you. Good to see you. And we'll talk to you and Tony coming up a little bit later.
You as well, Sammy.
All right, that is Jesse Agler joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 6:38 p.m. Yes, promptly at 6:38. Padres trying to bounce back after falling last night 8-0 here in the series opener in Anaheim. When we return, we'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. A little bit later, I go one-on-one with former Padre All-Star Kirby Yates. Really, really good conversation with Kirby Yates, who certainly was a fan favorite in San Diego during his time as a Padre. Plus, a little bit later, our keys to today's game, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and much, much more. First pitch coming up in just a little while on this Saturday here in Anaheim. We're back with more after this on the Padres Radio Network.
You're listening to the Eco.
Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside Angel Stadium here in Anaheim. First pitch coming up at 6:38 p.m. as we get ready for Game 2 of this three-game series between the Padres and Angels. Padres falling last night 8-0, and that snapped an 8-game win streak for the Padres. We'll see if they can get back in the win column here tonight. The grounds crew getting the field ready here at the Big A. The crowd filing in. Plenty of brown and gold here last night, and just looking around early part of tonight, plenty of Padres jerseys and gear tonight as well. So I'm sure many of you making the trip from San Diego up the freeway to Anaheim, and we'll see if the Padres can bounce back in the middle game of this series. Lineup for the Padres here tonight looks like this. Ramon Laureano leads it off back in the lineup after a day off yesterday. He's playing left field. Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field batting second. Jackson Merrill in center batting third. Manny Machado at third base batting cleanup. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop batting fifth. Miguel Andujar, the DH, batting sixth. Ty France at first base batting seventh. Freddie Fermin, the catcher, batting eighth. Good to see Freddie back in the lineup after he had to come out of the game the other day after getting hit in the mask by a foul ball. And Jake Cronenworth playing second base and batting ninth. Once again, right-hander German Marquez on the mound for the Padres here today. Left-hander Yusei Kikuchi on the mound for the Angels. With all that in mind, let's go downstairs and hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen.
Let's pull up a seat in a minute. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Craig, Freddie back in the lineup. I mean, it goes without saying you're happy to see him back, but I mean, it's kind of a scary moment there. Good to see him back in the lineup, I'm sure.
Yeah, catchers take a beating throughout the year, and so, especially to the head, we got to be cautious. He's ready to go now. He's probably mad at us yesterday for not playing him, but back in there today.
Speaking of people mad at you for not playing yesterday, I would imagine Ramon Laureano was not happy about getting the day off, but you've sort of established that you're going to give guys day off. They may not like it now. Is it the type of thing what they might think you later in the season, or do you suspect this is going to be an ongoing, hey, I'm doing this for your own good and for the team's good?
If we're doing it right, they're going to be mad that they're not playing. I think that's a good thing. Those guys are competitive. They want the at-bats. They want to be playing. They want to play every day. I mean, we all wish we could play, every day, all year round, 365. But we just know it's not physically capable. And, trying to keep their best interest in mind. And hopefully at the end of the season, they do feel fresh and they're, at their peak performance.
Which is unique to each guy in terms of maybe how many days they can play or when they do need a rest. Is some of it just sort of medically predetermined based, or is it more just a feel thing and a sight thing? How do you sort of plan some of that stuff out?
Probably all of it together, a lot of it's like what these guys have done in the past. We got Manny, who's been kind of an Ironman type player, play every day that he can for a long time. So he has the capacity to do that. Is that smart? We're trying to figure that out. And then there's other players like Ramon, who's been kind of a part-time player for a lot of his career, not playing, 162. So just got to be cognizant of that and handle each player individually and go from there.
I think going back to Freddie for a moment, similar with him, I guess this will be the first full year of him getting an opportunity at a position that's especially draining. So something I imagine you keep an eye on, but also want to give him a chance to extend himself if he can.
Yeah, you're exactly right. He's been, catching with Salvador Perez all of his career, and Salvi's known for catching a lot of ball games. So, this is Freddie's first opportunity to be the number one catcher. And, we got to monitor his workload and make sure he's the same Freddie on day one as he is on day 162.
Yeah. With Ramon, we talk about the breaking ball a lot. And, of course, that's a super important weapon for him. But fastball command, making sure that he gets to the lane, especially against a team that hits fastballs pretty good. That's a key thing for tonight.
Yeah, these guys are swinging it well right now. They've been swinging it for, better on week. Scoring a lot of runs. We saw last night they swung the bats really well. So Ramon's got to be on top of his game tonight, and he will be. Get his breaking ball going. Like you said, fastball command will be key, keeping him honest and, off that curveball. And then, we'll see how deep he can go.
Been going with Ty a lot. What are the factors there?
Partly is, he's been hitting really good. He's been taking great at-bats, great team at-bats. We kind of like his approach at the plate. The other part, he's really good at first base. We've seen him make some plays over there. Just looks very comfortable. And, it's just like when these guys are swinging it good, we got to keep them in the lineup. It's tough to, have a guy go 3 for 3 and then throw him on the bench for 3 or 4 days and not let him, continue on that hot streak. And we know baseball is such a streaky sport. When you're feeling good at the plate, it may not be physical, but it's definitely mental. And, try to piece that together as best we can. It's not a perfect science, but we're trying it as best as we can.
Do you have any? Do you put in any input into the offense's game planning and offenses like before the game when they're meeting, what to focus on, or you just leave that all to the hitters and the hitting coaches?
Yeah, mostly the hitting coaches are taking care of that. I think my role is kind of just overall team messaging during those meetings, and being an encourager, complimenting them on the things that we do well, and then also holding them accountable when things just aren't going maybe the best or where we think we can improve. And for me personally, I think I need to be careful with it because I'm a pitcher. I haven't sat in that box very often. And so those messages, mostly come from the hitting department and the guys that have, been there, done that with those guys, but I can always support them in the best way I can. And
during the game, do you say anything at all about approach or hitting, or you just?
No, I'm not. It's pretty basic coming out of my mouth. One of my biggest strengths is encouraging people and patting them on the back and, putting my arm around them and giving them confidence. And whether that has to do anything with hitting approach or their swing, probably not, but them feeling good about themselves, that we care about them and that it's okay to make a mistake is kind of my role.
Don't see many free pickoff walks like we did yesterday. Do you think, almost got him. Like, was that kind of the right time for it? What goes into the strategy to win that?
Yeah, I think we felt we had an opportunity to get him. We had a really good pitcher pickoff move on the mound. Waldron's got a great pickoff move. We almost got him the first 2 times, and just trying to play the game, thinking he could sneak second base, because we were out of pickoffs. But in the end, it didn't work. Randy Knorr does a great job helping run our running game and control the running game. Catchers do a great job. I kind of trust him fully handling that. It was a laugh in the dugout when the inning got over and they didn't score, talked about it, but it's something that's now in the scouting report for every advanced scout when they play the Padres, and you never know, we might see it again tonight.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen earlier today inside the Padres dugout. We'll hear more from Craig coming up on our post-game coverage later on this evening. Let's quickly pause for station identification on the Padres radio network.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
Hey, this is Michael King, starting pitcher from the San Diego Padres. You're listening to Padres Baseball on the Padres Radio Network.
An Odyssey Sports Station.
Sam Levitt with you here at Angel Stadium in Anaheim. First pitch coming up at 6:38 p.m. We send things out to Jesse Ackler and Tony Gwynn Jr. in just about 30 minutes. As always, our pregame coverage brought to you by EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Visit EcoWaterSoCal.com or call 760-350-3338. That's 760-350-3338. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to step up their game? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not. Presented by ASAP Drain Guys and Plumbing, a division of Anderson Commercial, your full-service plumber serving San Diego County.
First, let's take a look at the hot category. Ramon Laureano back in the lineup tonight, and he is in the midst of a 6-game hitting streak. His last 8 games, he's batting .379 with a double, a triple, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, and 2 stolen bases. Luis Campusano, he's in the midst of an 8-game hitting streak. He was in the midst of an 8-game hitting streak that was snapped yesterday. Did walk twice. He had .376 in that 8-game stretch with 4 doubles, 1 home run, and 6 RBIs. The not category, Jake Cronenworth went 0 for 4 last night. He's hitting just .111 in his last 54 at-bats. Jake back in the lineup tonight playing second base and batting 9th. And Nick Castellanos took an 0 for last night. He's just 1 for his last 21. And that's a quick look at who's hot, who's not as we get ready for today's game. First pitch coming up at 6:38. When we come back, I go one-on-one with former Padres reliever and All-Star Kirby Yates. Much, much more to do as we walk you up towards first pitch at the Big A here in Anaheim, Game 2 of this 3-game series between the Padres and Angels right here on the Padres Radio Network.
Hello, friends. It's Woodsy here. Is your
Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside Angel Stadium here at the Big A in Anaheim as we get ready for Game 2 of this three-game series. First pitch coming up at 6:38. I go one-on-one with former Padres All-Star Kirby Yates in just a moment, so stay tuned for that. But first, let's give you the latest on the Padres on the injury front.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Let's begin with the latest on Padres right-hander Griffin Canning. He has now made 3 rehab starts with AAA El Paso, including one just a couple of days ago. He continues to build up sort of similar to what he would do during a full spring training. Still sounds like he will be back probably in the early part of May. We'll see, but certainly he will be very important to the Padres in the rotation when he does return, and he's working his way back from that left Achilles tear that he suffered last year with the Mets. Jeremiah Estrada still on the IL with right elbow tendonitis. We'll see what the return date ends up being for Jeremiah. He did play catch as far as a few days ago. We'll see what the status is on Jeremiah moving forward. Obviously, the Padres without one of their key starting pitchers right now in Nick Pivetta. He is dealing with a flexor strain. It's going to be a while until we see Nick Pivetta again. We'll see what the updates are on him in the weeks to come. Yuki Matsui still on a rehab stint with AAA El Paso, working his way back from that left groin strain. And as you probably know, Joe Musgrove still working his way back from ultimately returning from that Tommy John surgery that he had in the fall of 2024. And we'll continue to provide updates on Joe as we get him. And that's a look at a variety of Padres currently on the IL. And Griffin Canning right now, really the guy that you want to keep an eye on because it sounds like he's getting pretty close to returning. We'll see how many more rehab starts he needs, but certainly will be somebody, especially considering the injury to Nick Pivetta, that will be relied upon for the Padres when he's ready to go. Well, Kirby Yates signed with the Angels this past offseason. Of course, Kirby Yates spent part of 2017 with the Padres, all of 2018, all of 19, all of 2020 with San Diego. A really, really good reliever for the Padres. Had just the stellar 2019 season, 41 saves, a 1.19 ERA, an all-star appearance in a Padres uniform. He'd go on to pitch a couple of seasons in Atlanta, one season in Texas. He was a Dodger last year, and now he's working his way back from a knee injury and ultimately will join the Angels bullpen. I had a great conversation with the former Padre All-Star earlier today inside the Angels clubhouse. Sam Levitt here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for today's game. And right now I'm joined by Angels reliever Kirby Yates, of course, the former Padre All-Star. Kirby, how's it going so far this year in Anaheim?
It's all right. We're off to a little rough start personally, but it's good. The team's playing pretty well. I think clubhouse is pretty confident and excited.
You mentioned your quote-unquote rough start. An injury has sidelined you here at the start of the season. Bit of a knee issue. How's that going?
Yeah, it's taken a little longer than I think I expected to, or everything. Pitched yesterday, threw the ball well, felt fine. So we just have to build up, get some strength back into the legs, and get back to being ready to pitch on an everyday basis.
Kirby, being here with the Angels, you're sort of completing the Southern California trifecta, pitching with the Padres and the Dodgers. Now here in Anaheim, why were the Angels this season the right fit for you?
They've been trying to get me for a few years. I just think it worked out this year. It's not that I never wanted to come here in the beginning. But I also think timing-wise and everything, I think the young core in here is a little bit older. It's not, all about Mike anymore, even though he's healthy and playing unbelievable again. He's Mike Trout. But, the Nettos, the Shanwells, the Adells, the Hoppies, they're all taking steps and, they're not babies anymore, So it's cool. It's, they've welcomed me here with open arms. It's been a lot of fun. It was a great choice.
You've had the chance to play with a lot of great players in your time in the major leagues. Mike Trout certainly right up there with the best of them. He just had that huge series in New York. Being his teammate now, what stands out to you about Mike Trout?
Well, I mean, I've known him for a long time, but it's just common with guys that are at an elite level, Hall of Famers. Their talent's unbelievable, second to none. But the routines and the work, once you see it up close and personal, and what the efforts that's put into on a nightly basis to go out and do what they do, he's no different, and it's special. It's just an incredible talent. I think everybody knows that. He's healthy, and it was never an ability thing. It was always a health thing.
We're joined by former Padres reliever Kirby Yates here on the Padres Radio Network. Kirby obviously had a number of years with the Padres in the late 2010s into 2020. So many great seasons, an all-star appearance as well. Now that you're a little bit removed from your time in San Diego, how do you reflect on your time with the Padres?
Yeah, I mean, the relationships you make, right? I loved the fans. I loved Petco. I loved everything about it. But I made friends and relationships that, you hope to last a long time. And, we're, 6-7 years removed from when I was there. And, I still have a lot of friendships that I built over there. Still close with Same. And, me and Maddie talk every time we see him. And, all the guys. It was such a fun group to be a part of. Still one of the most fun that I've had, just great group, and it's kind of where my, I guess, career kind of took off, and I started the trajectory that kind of, just turned my life around, turned my career around. And, I'm always very, very thankful for that opportunity that I got to go play there.
Kirby, I think when Padres fans think about you, they think about the 2019 season in particular, 41 saves, a 1.19 ERA. You were so dominant that year. When you reflect on that season in particular, what do you remember?
101 strikeouts.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to get to 100. I just remember feeling like I was, at the time, probably the best pitcher in the league.
Wow.
And obviously confidence and arrogance all goes into that, whatever you want to call it. I just felt like, there was nights when I went into the game that I was on and I knew nobody would touch the ball, and
Right.
It happened. It wasn't every night. There was some struggles in between and stuff like that. But, I just think it was the first time where I could, command a split in and out of the zone and still had my command on the splitter. And I haven't really had that type of command with both of them since.
We're joined by former Padres reliever Kirby Yates on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. Your former bullpen mate, Craig Stammen, is now the skipper on the other side. When you heard that news, what was your reaction?
Well, I could have beat him to the punch, because the minute that, I knew the job was open, I texted him. I said, "Are you the new manager?" And he kind of texted me back. He said, "You're out of your mind." And so when he got hired, I kind of, gave him a hard time, I told you so, and laughed and had a good time with it. But, we're being in contact. I told him I could come over there and be Fritz's assistant bullpen coach. And he's like, "I'd rather have you pitch." And I said, just a fun little banter. But, I mean, out of all the guys they were interviewing, I thought he was as good as a candidate as there can be. He hasn't left the team, which I think is huge. He's such a good guy, and he's just he knows how to lead. Like, he doesn't have to be taught how to lead. He's just a natural born leader. Everybody respects him, and I do think he's built for the personality, the temperament, and just be able to have confidence in his guys, and know how to kind of pull the right strings and keep everybody moving in the same direction.
I think a lot of us had the same reaction, even though it was surprising because it kind of came out of nowhere when you thought about Craig, who he was as a player. And after that, it was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. More specifically, a reliever being a manager, not something we've seen very much before. What do you think maybe some of the pros, the advantages a reliever in particular could have as a major league manager?
I mean, I think, to me, I've been saying this to a couple of general managers that I've had, why not a reliever? Because you sit in the bullpen every night. And, lineups nowadays kind of write themselves. It's not a crazy, certain times for the year kind of dictates when you got to switch the lineup up. But, you sit in a bullpen for 10, 12 years like Craig did, and, you know how to run a bullpen. when guys seem tired or what do you just have the feeling. You understand that what it's like to be surprised down there. You understand what it's like to get up 3 times in a game and go out there and have to pitch. Just all the little things that I think that certain guys don't understand that, he knows. I mean, I think the most probably the hardest thing for him is sitting in a dugout for 9 innings and having to get used to that culture, because you don't do that. It's the same thing as like a position player. They always ask, what's the bullpen like? You know what I mean? And we all tell them it's awesome. So I think, like I said, I think he's perfectly cut out for this. I think he's got a huge advantage of being a bullpen guy because, I think for being a manager, I think one of the top things is how do you run a bullpen?
Kirby, finally, when you reflect on the Padres and Petco Park, you got there 2017. I mean, the experience was quite a bit different than what it is now at that stadium. The place is sold out every night. Padres fever has kind of taken over San Diego. You've had the chance now to pitch there as a visiting player. Your perspective on how Petco Park and how the Padres, how they've evolved over the course of the last decade since you played in San Diego.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the vision that everybody kind of had right there in 18 and 19, especially 20. I think 20, you can kind of feel it coming, even though it was COVID and you didn't have, fans, but you could feel it coming. And, I think everybody that was part of that group in 17, 18, and 19, I think ultimately players, front office, and everybody, that's kind of what we were trying to create an environment that could, kind of build that and have it come. So, I mean, from the outside, it's very cool to see that, it's all happened. The only thing they need is to win a World Series, but we're not going to do it this year because I'm not on the other team.
Kirby, appreciate the time. Thanks so much. Best of luck getting healthy and back on the field, and we'll talk to you again down the road.
All right, appreciate it.
That was former Padres All-Star Kirby Yates. What a great conversation with Kirby. Always great to catch up, and certainly wish Kirby the best with his health as he works his way back to returning to the Angels bullpen. First pitch coming up at 6:38 here in Anaheim. Game 2 of this 3-game series between the Padres and Angels. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have a number of finals already today. Guardians beat the Orioles in Cleveland 4-2. Gavin Williams struck out 11, got the win in 7 strong innings for Cleveland today. Brewers beat the Marlins 5-2 in Miami. Tigers beat the Red Sox 4-1 at Fenway. The A's beat the White Sox in walk-off fashion in 11, 7-6. Giants beat the Nationals in 12 in D.C. today, 7-6. Cubs beat the Mets 4-2 in Chicago. The Mets have now lost 10 in a row. They dropped to 7-14. Reds beat the Twins in Minnesota 5-4. Yankees beat the Royals in New York today 13-4. Handful of games going on right now. Pirates ahead, or I should say, Pirates and the Rays are tied at 5 in the 10th inning in Pittsburgh. Cardinals 6, Astros 1 in Houston in the 7th. Braves 3, Phillies 1 in Philadelphia in the 7th inning. Mariners lead the Rangers in Seattle 4-1. They're in the 6th inning there. Dodgers ahead of the Rockies 3-2 in Colorado in the 4th inning. And the Blue Jays and the Diamondbacks are tied at 1 in the 5th. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Saturday evening. When we return, we'll tell you what to watch for in today's game, our keys to the game, plus some headlines from around the major leagues. First pitch coming up in just a little bit here in Anaheim. We continue after this.
We'll be right back to the EcoWater.
got to keep building off it. Pitchers have been throwing a lot of strikes, getting early outs, and the hitters have been taking very professional at bats. And last night, obviously, was an outlier, but I like where we're at and got to continue on that path.
That was the Padres tie France earlier today here in Anaheim as the Padres get ready for Game 2 of this 3-game series against the Angels. France back in the lineup for the Padres today, playing first base and batting 7th. Sam Levitt with you here at the Big A at Angel Stadium as we get ready for today's game. Let's take a quick look at some of the headlines from around the major leagues.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
A few quick headlines for you. The Yankees' Garrett Cole had his first rehab start earlier this week as he makes his way back from Tommy John surgery, pitched for AA on Friday. And Yankees manager Aaron Boone saying that he will need several more rehab outings before returning. Arizona Diamondbacks outfielder Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is returning from the IL today. He suffered a torn ACL in his right knee in September of last year. And less than 8 months later, he's already back in the lineup for today's game. Pretty remarkable for the Diamondbacks. Giants putting right-hander, he was on the IL. Giants reliever Jose Butto, they announced that arm surgery yesterday. He'll be out for 5 to 6 months. So the Giants will be without one of their relievers, Jose Butto, for a while. And finally, Mets putting DH Jorge Polanco on the IL earlier today. Polanco also playing a little first base for the Mets. Put him on the IL with a right wrist contusion. And as we said earlier, boy, things are not going well for the Mets. They have lost 10 in a row after losing to the Cubs at Wrigley earlier today. And that's a quick look at some of the headlines from around the major leagues. As we get ready for first pitch coming up at 6:38 p.m., let's tell you what to watch for in tonight's game.
It's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game. This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted roofing and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovements.com.
What to watch for here tonight. Can the Padres once again be tough on Mike Trout? Mike Trout went 0 for 3 with a couple of walks yesterday. That ended his streak of 4 consecutive games with a home run. He had a remarkable series against the Yankees in New York earlier this week. At 5 home runs in that 4-game series total. Really, really outstanding series for Trout. Again, 0 for yesterday. Mike Trout back in the lineup for the Angels today, playing center field and batting second. So we'll see if the Padres can limit Mike Trout once again here tonight. Some keys to tonight's game for you to keep in mind. Key number 1, can the Padres halt the Halos offense? The Angels have won 4 of their past 6 games, and a big reason why they are scoring a ton of runs. The Angels scored 8 runs last night. In the past 6 games, they've scored 49 runs and hit 16 home runs. That's more than 8 runs per game and almost 3 home runs per game. And oh, by the way, the Angels' 2 losses in that span both came when Jordan Romano blew a save and the Angels got walked off on. So they've been playing well as of late. And again, they can score runs. So we'll see if the Padres can hang with them tonight as far as the offense, what they do with their lineup. Key number 2, limit the home runs. So far this season, the Padres have been very good at not giving up home runs. They've allowed the fewest homers in the National League at 13 given up this season, even after giving up a pair yesterday. Hopefully the Padres can get back to that today. No home runs for the Angels, but again, that's tough because this Angels team, as I just said, they hit a lot of home runs. They have the second most home runs in baseball, 34 of them, just one behind the LA Dodgers. And key number 3, the veteran big 3 against Angels starter Yusei Kikuchi. Manny Machado is 4 for 10 with 2 home runs against Kikuchi. Xander Bogaerts is 3 for 11 with 2 home runs. Fernando Tatis Jr. is 3 for 11 against him with 2 home runs. So between those 3 guys, 6 home runs combined in 32 career at-bats against Kikuchi for Manny, Xander, and Fernando. Can they find some success against Kikuchi here tonight? We're going to find out. Middle game of this 3-game series coming up in just a bit here at the Big A Angels Stadium in Anaheim. And when we come back, Jesse Ackler, Tony Gwynn Jr. have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game, everybody.